Hello there. Today we are here to talk about the Nine of Swords, also known as the Lord of Despair and Cruelty, as named by the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. The Nine of Swords represents a time of worry and anxiety. So the upright meanings of the card warns of overthinking, excessive self-criticism, sleepless nights, and extreme stress and mental anguish. Flip this card upside down into its reverse position, and we have recovery, facing life, coping skills, and letting go. So let's set the scene for what's happening in the card. We got a woman, looked like it's happening in the middle of the night. She's asleep, and then she bolts up, in her bed with her head in her hands, as if she's awakening from a nightmare, in a cold sweat. And 9 swords hang above her on the wall. So in tarot, the suit of swords represents the element of air and also matters that are of the mind and your way of thinking. The hanging swords become these issues that are on your mind, your hangups or your doubts, thoughts that brew in your sleep and keep you awake at night. And these dreams are often unresolved problems, things that you're going through during the day, and your subconscious mind is trying to work out the knots of these situations in your head while you sleep. So sometimes this woman may not even be aware of the exact nature of her worries. It's just bubbling beneath the surface and coming up in the nighttime. So swords are probably the least popular suit in the tarot deck of the 4 suits. And because they're a symbol of our internal dialogue. I mean, we all have that voice, that mean voice that is living within us that speaks to us in a way that we would never speak to somebody else in that way. So it lives within us and we have that capability. So sometimes it's better to kind of turn our heads and look the other way, right? So notice in the card that the tips of the swords are facing east. And east is where the sun rises. It's the beginnings. It's where spiritual awakenings happen and new moments are able to enter the picture. So the number 9 is about endings, which makes space for these new beginnings. It's a time where we're forced to deal with something difficult. All of the 9s, we are forced to deal with something. Kind of issues are coming to a head and forcing us to either move or lurch or be pushed forward. And that's where we are here in the 9 of Swords. So there's a black wall. It's night, clearly the middle of the night. And black is the absence of light. It's a lack of optimism. And we may be in the dark as to really understanding what is going on in our situations. Or maybe we just don't want to see the light, which is maybe a sign that we need to surrender. Wave that white flag. So she's sitting up in bed with her head in her hands, which symbols anxiety and fear. And the 9 swords symbolize worries and troubles and what she's holding on to. The symmetrical pattern of the swords symbolizes the problems are due to the way she thinks, the systematic way that she thinks. This woman in the 9 of Swords holds her hands over her eyes, a natural reaction to waking up from a nightmare. The black background leaves us no doubt, as I mentioned, that it's the middle of the night, and it's a symbol of her temporary blindness. Much like, I'm going to show you 2 other cards in the deck, the 2 of Swords. She's got a blindfold. He or she has a blindfold over her eyes, can't see. And the 8 of Swords, which is the card prior to this. So what do you think? You think that this is our 8 of Swords who has moved from this location to the bed? I think so. So anyway, these 2 figures wear a blindfold. She is completely in her own mind. She may be attempting to cling on to the visuals or some sort of a message from her dream. And you know what? It's always great to keep a little notepad by your bed. Write down your dreams. And then once you wake up and are more aware of it, try to figure out what were you thinking, because you will not remember the details of your dreams the way that you do right in that moment. You will not remember it that way tomorrow morning. I promise you. So, okay, the bed, back to the bed. The bed is where we're most vulnerable. and it's where we let down all of our defenses. So this symbolic bed is kind of like an awareness where we make known the things that we learn in our bed. We make them known to no one. We keep them to ourselves. They can also symbolize our dream life and what we want to keep kind of like in the realm of fantasy. And I use the symbolism again to say, pull back the covers, take a look at what's really going on here, because if you're looking for clarity on your situation, it will show up in your dreams. Now, at the base of the bed, there are two figures. It looks like there's like a duel going on or some sort, two figures. They both have swords. One is holding a sword over his head. The other one is laying on the ground, kind of in a submissive position, like he is unable to defend himself. And this is a symbol of conflict and competition. And it could represent being bullied or feeling overwhelmed by someone else's personality in your life. It could also represent a state of mind and indicate that you're feeling really vulnerable at this time. And on the bed is a heavy quilt. So I'm going to talk about this quilt in two different ways. First of all, I don't know if you're familiar with the old weighted blanket. They've been around for a long time, but weighted blankets are known as a type of deep pressure therapy. And these weighted blankets ease conditions like ADHD, autism, anxiety, and some sleep troubles. This quilt symbolizes the need to cover up. You may feel like you need to feel protected in some way. Now, on the quilt, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. But the thing that I first noticed are all of these roses. And the red rose is the symbol of a religion, a spiritual movement, I should say, called Rosicrucianism, which was back in the 1800s. And the Golden Dawn, which is the organization that named the card, the title that I mentioned at the beginning, they styled themselves after that tradition, and it is referenced here in the card. Now, there's also zodiac signs all over. I don't know if you can see it from what I'm showing you, but if you have your own deck, please do look and you'll see zodiac signs and glyphs of the planets, including symbols of Mars, the moon, Saturn, Taurus, Cancer, Pisces, and Gemini. All of these symbols, they could be references to the passage of time because the planets and signs move through our personal charts, and they are what makes up the calendar. But also the 9 of Swords is associated with Mars and Gemini. And Mars and Gemini is restlessness. It's excessive mental energy. And it's that internal chatter that we got going on in our head. So the squares of the quilt are yellow and blue. Yellow is linked to the element of air and the sword suit. And blue is connected to water and cups. And this combination of color indicates that what is on your mind is something of an emotional nature and is most likely linked to a relationship or situation with another person. So that is your 9 of Swords. I do have some journal prompts and some extra thoughts, so please don't run yet. 2 quick prompts. What am I avoiding? Think about that when this card shows up. And what fears are holding me back? And to turn a little bit more serious, I want to be clear that this 9 of Swords is not a card of impending doom. Fear and anxiety right now are at an all-time high. And it's possible that you feel so frozen in the situation that you're in that you may feel as though you are just unable to care for yourself in the way that you need to, or unable to deal with these challenges that you're facing. And here's my question, or my prompt. If you are depressed and or feeling very anxious, and it has you feeling like you want to hide, know that you are not alone. I know this is a feeling that you feel like I'm an island, no one else feels this way. People, you're not alone in this, especially at this time of our lives in this world that we're living in. So is it time for you, or maybe I should say, it is time for you to reach out and get some help? So my friend, my beautiful soul, who is it that you need to reach out to? Who can give you the help and the assistance that you need right now? I want that for you so much. So with that, I thank you so much for coming. It was my pleasure to share this card. I know that it was not the most positive, but it is important that we know all of these cards so we can be as honest and as direct as we can when we do readings for ourselves, for others, and in our learning. So if you want to learn more from me, please check the box below, follow me on social media, get my free gift, subscribe. I have lots of videos here, and my love is tarot. So it's my pleasure to share that with you. And with that, I thank you so much for coming, and I look forward to seeing you the next time.